Ever since Ty Borden's heartbreaking exit from Heartland, fans all around the world have been asking the same question: will Ty ever come back? With season 19 just around the corner, the rumors and speculations have only grown louder. Some say the writers might bring him back in a surprising way, while others believe his story is over for good. But what do the facts really say? Let's dig into the history, the decisions behind the scenes, and everything we know about Ty's future in Heartland. To truly understand the possibility of Ty returning, we first need to look back at why his character mattered so much to the show. From the very beginning of Heartland, Ty Borden wasn't just another character, he was the heart of the series alongside Amy Fleming. Fans saw him grow from a troubled teenager into a responsible man, a loving husband, and a devoted father. His journey was filled with struggles, redemption, and growth, making him one of the most relatable and beloved figures on the show. Ty's relationship with Amy became the emotional center of Heartland. Together, they faced hardships, celebrated victories, and built a life filled with love and hope. Their story represented the idea that even when life seems impossible, you can build something beautiful with patience and trust. That's why Ty's sudden exit in season 14 was more than just a plot twist. It felt like a piece of Heartland itself was missing. In season 14, the writers made the painful choice to show Ty passing away from complications after being shot. In season 13, his death wasn't just shocking, it was permanent, and it completely changed the tone of the show. Viewers watched Amy struggle through grief, raising her daughter Lindy without Ty by her side. This loss reshaped every storyline that followed, making season 14 one of the most emotional seasons in the show's history. For longtime fans, this was not easy to accept. Many had followed Ty and Amy's journey for over a decade, and suddenly losing that part of the show left a deep impact. Some viewers even admitted they couldn't keep watching without Ty, while others continued, holding onto Amy's story and the spirit of Heartland. But why was this decision made in the first place? The truth is, Ty's exit wasn't the writer's idea, it was the choice of Graham Wardle, the actor who played Ty. When an actor decides to leave a long-running series, the writers must find a way to write that character out of the story. In this case, the writers wanted to stay true to the tone of Heartland, so instead of making Ty simply disappear, they chose a more realistic, heartbreaking outcome. This decision honored both the character and the actor's request, while also pushing the story into new directions. Since then, Ty's absence has left fans wondering if the writers might one day bring him back. After all, television has a long history of surprising comebacks. Sometimes characters thought to be gone forever return through dream sequences, flashbacks, or even unexpected twists. Could the same thing happen with Ty? Before we answer that, we need to understand not only why Graham Wardle chose to leave, but also how the show has evolved since Ty's departure. That's where things get interesting. And that's where the rumors start to collide with the facts. Imagine dedicating over a decade of your life to a single role. Waking up every morning, stepping onto the same set, slipping into the same pair of boots, and breathing life into a character who feels almost like an extension of yourself. That was Graham Wardle's life as Ty Borden. For 13 seasons, he wasn't just playing a role, he was carrying the hopes, struggles, and victories of a character millions of fans came to love. But as much as Ty belonged to Heartland, Graham himself felt a growing need to follow a different path. In interviews, Graham explained that his decision wasn't about the show, the fans, or even the character. It was about his own journey as a person. He said he wanted to step into the unknown and explore new experiences beyond acting. For someone who had been tied to one identity for so long, the idea of personal growth became more important than staying in the comfort zone of a successful series. And that's where the heartbreak begins. Because while viewers were holding on to Ty as the anchor of Heartland, Graham was ready to release him. He admitted that it wasn't an easy choice. Leaving meant saying goodbye to castmates who had become like family, a storyline that defined much of his career and fans who had invested their hearts into his character. But at the same time, he recognized that staying without passion would have been unfair both to himself and to the story. What makes Graham's decision stand out is how he handled it. He didn't simply walk away. He worked closely with the producers and writers, giving them enough time to craft Ty's departure in a way that would be meaningful rather than abrupt. Instead of a sudden disappearance, they created a storyline that allowed the audience to grieve alongside the characters. In his own words, he wanted to honor the journey. Since then, Graham has focused on projects that reflect his evolving interests. He launched a podcast called Time Has Come, where he talks about personal growth, spirituality, and exploring life's deeper meaning. In many ways, it feels like an extension of his decision to leave the show a way to connect with people on a different level, beyond scripted television. This shows us that his exit wasn't about turning his back on fans, but about opening a new chapter for himself. Of course, for Heartland fans, it's still a bitter pill to swallow. Many continue to hope that Graham might return, even in a small way. But every time he's asked, his answers remain consistent. He has moved on. He respects the show deeply, but his personal journey is leading him elsewhere, and that raises the big question. If Graham has already made peace with leaving Ty behind, how realistic is it to expect a return in season 19? Could he be persuaded back for a cameo, a flashback, or even a dream sequence? Or would that go against the very reason he left in the first place? To answer that, we need to look at how the Heartland production team has built the story since Ty's death, and why bringing him back would be both complicated and controversial. When a beloved character leaves a series, it's not just the audience that feels the loss, it's the entire creative team. Writers sit in a room with blank pages and heavy hearts, knowing they must fill a hole that can never truly be replaced. That was the challenge Heartland faced when Ty Borden's story ended. The truth is, Ty wasn't just one character in the background. He was the heartbeat of the show's central love story. His presence defined Amy's journey, shaped Jack's wisdom, and inspired younger characters like Georgie. Removing him from the picture was like removing one of the pillars holding up the Heartland Ranch itself. The writers had to ask themselves, how do we keep the story alive without him? Their solution was not to erase Ty, but to let his absence echo through every storyline. In season 14, Amy was forced to step into a new role, not just as a mother, but as a woman navigating grief. This was no small task. By choosing to show Amy's pain, the writers honored Ty's importance. They didn't rush her healing. Instead, they allowed viewers to walk with her through the stages of loss, denial, anger, sadness, and eventually, resilience. From a production standpoint, this was both risky and powerful. Risky, because fans might have turned away in disappointment. Powerful, because it gave the show new depth. Rather than relying on the same romantic arc, Heartland explored what it means to carry on when the person you love most is gone. That shift changed the DNA of the series, making it less about the romance of Ty and Amy, and more about the legacy of love, family, and endurance. It also allowed other characters to step forward. Jack became more of a guide. Lou's leadership took on new importance, and even the younger generation had more room to grow. In this way, Ty's absence actually expanded the world of Heartland. It was no longer just about one couple's love story, it was about how a community holds together through change. Now, here's where things get complicated. Because Ty's death was written with such finality, the writers closed the door in a very permanent way. Unlike shows where characters simply vanish or move away, Heartland made a choice that doesn't leave much room for a surprise comeback. To undo that decision would risk undermining the emotional truth of Amy's healing journey, and that is something the producers have guarded carefully. Of course, television has always found creative ways to bend reality. Flashbacks, dream sequences, or even visions could bring Ty back in a limited way without breaking the integrity of the story. But a full return? That would undo years of carefully written character growth. Amy's strength, Lindy's resilience, and the ranch's survival all rest on the reality that Ty is gone. So when fans ask, could Ty come back in season 19? The production side has to balance the things: fan desire and story integrity. Yes, a cameo would thrill audiences, but would it make sense for a show that has spent 5 seasons building a world without him? That's the tension the writers face, honoring Ty's legacy without erasing the truth they've already told. And that leads us directly to the next chapter of this conversation, the fans themselves. Because while producers deal with logic and storytelling, fans live in hope and imagination. And their theories, as wild as they may sound, often fuel the very rumors that keep Ty's name alive. If there's one thing that keeps a television character alive long after they've left the screen, it's the fans. And when it comes to Ty Borden, Heartland fans have proven they're not ready to let him go. Over the years, countless theories have surfaced online, whispered in comment sections, shared in Facebook groups, and debated endlessly in forums. Some are realistic, some are wild, but all of them are born from the same place: love for Ty and the dream of seeing him again. One of the most popular theories is the dream sequence. Fans imagine Amy, at a critical point in her journey, falling asleep and seeing Ty once more, maybe offering her advice, a smile, or a final message she never got to hear. It wouldn't change the story or undo his death, but it would give audiences one more glimpse of the man who defined so much of the show. It's the kind of scene that could bring both closure and comfort without rewriting history. Then, there's the idea of flashbacks. Many viewers argue that the writers could revisit old moments that were never shown before, snippets of Ty's life with Amy, or his time raising Lindy. This wouldn't be a return in the traditional sense, but it would give the actor a chance to step back into the role, even briefly, while deepening our understanding of his bond with the family. But some fans don't stop there. They dive into bolder, more dramatic territory. One theory suggests that Ty's death wasn't as final as it seemed, that maybe he survived but went into hiding, or that there was a mix-up at the hospital. It's a kind of twist we often see in soap operas or thrillers, but Heartland has never leaned on shock value in that way. Still, these theories reflect just how deeply people want him back. Another speculation focuses on the spiritual return. Because Heartland is set in the natural beauty of Alberta, where themes of healing, connection, and spirituality are woven into the narrative, some fans believe Ty could reappear as a guiding presence. Not a ghost exactly, but a vision of strength or comfort for Amy and Lindy during a pivotal moment. This would keep his legacy alive while staying true to the tone of the series. And then, of course, there are the rumors. Every time a new season is announced, whispers spread across the internet. Graham Wardle was spotted on set. Producers are keeping a big secret. Season 19 will shock everyone. Most of these claims have no evidence, yet they spread like wildfire because hope is powerful. Fans cling to the possibility that producers might one day surprise them, even if the facts say otherwise. What makes these theories so fascinating is not whether they're likely, but what they reveal about the audience. Ty wasn't just a character. He was a symbol of love, growth, and redemption. Fans don't speculate because they expect a miracle twist. They speculate because they can't imagine Heartland without the soul he brought to it. In many ways, the theories themselves are a form of storytelling, created by fans who are unwilling to close the book on Ty Borden. But as much as theories keep hope alive, the reality often comes back to the producers and the actor himself. To truly answer the question of whether Ty could return, we have to step out of fan dreams and into the real world of production, contracts, and official statements. And that's where the facts may finally put an end to the speculation. Rumors are like wildfire, fast, bright, and impossible to contain. But when it comes to Ty Borden's return in season 19, only one thing can put out the flames: the truth. And the truth lies in the words of the cast, the producers, and Graham Wardle himself. Let's start with the most important fact. Graham Wardle has never hinted at a full-time return. In every interview since his departure, he's been consistent. He made the choice to leave, and he stands by it. He explained that stepping away from Heartland was part of his personal growth. He wanted to follow new passions, explore other creative projects, and live a life outside of Ty's boots. That hasn't changed. And while he's always spoken with love and respect for the fans, he's also been clear: Ty's story has ended. The producers have echoed that same message. They've said repeatedly that Ty's death was written to move the story forward, not to set up a shocking twist later. The goal was to explore grief, healing, and resilience in a way that felt authentic. For Heartland, which prides itself on realism and emotional honesty, undoing Ty's death would risk everything they've built in the seasons since. Season 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18 were all crafted with his absence in mind. By now, Ty isn't just gone, his loss has become the foundation of Amy's growth and Lindy's future. So what does that mean for season 19? Well, here's where things get interesting. While producers haven't announced any plans for Ty's return, they also haven't shut the door entirely on special appearances. In interviews, they've hinted at the possibility of using flashbacks or never-before-seen moments to keep Ty's presence alive. These wouldn't be full comebacks, but small gifts to the audience, reminders of what Ty meant to the ranch, the family, and the story. Even Ember Marshall, who plays Amy, has addressed the topic. She admitted how heartbreaking it was to lose Graham from the show, but she's also expressed understanding of his decision. She said that while she knows fans desperately want Ty back, she believes in respecting Graham's journey. At the same time, she hasn't ruled out the idea of short, creative ways to honor Ty in the future, and that's where the facts settle. As of now, there is no official plan to bring Ty back in season 19. The writers are continuing to focus on Amy's story as a single mother, Lindy's adventures growing up on the ranch, and the broader lives of the Fleming Borden family. But, and this is important, the producers know exactly how much Ty means to the fans. They've kept his legacy woven into the narrative through Amy's memories, through Lindy's growth, and through the way the family carries on. Ty is still present, just not physically. So, while it may not be the comeback fans are hoping for, the truth is that season 19 will almost certainly keep honoring Ty's place in Heartland. He may not walk through the doors of the ranch again, but his shadow, his love, his lessons, his spirit will remain a part of every frame. And that leaves us with one final question. If the official word is no, why do so many people still believe a return could happen? To answer that, we need to step into the space between fact and fiction, the place where fan hopes clash with reality. Here's the hard truth. Not every story we love gets the ending we want. And when it comes to Ty Borden's return in Heartland, reality doesn't bend as easily as fan theories. If we take away the speculation, the rumors, and the hopeful whispers, what are we left with? The facts, and they tell a very different story. First, let's be honest about the biggest obstacle. Graham Wardle himself. The actor has been very clear that his time as Ty has ended. He left on his own terms, not because of creative differences or conflicts with the show, but because he wanted to grow beyond acting in Heartland. That kind of decision isn't something easily reversed. For Graham to return, he would have to undo the very choice that defined his personal journey. And based on everything he has said since leaving, he doesn't intend to do that. Second, there's the story itself. Ty's death wasn't written as a cliffhanger, a disappearance, or an open-ended maybe. It was final. And it was permanent. His absence has shaped Amy's growth as a mother and a woman, and it has reshaped the very core of the series. If the writers suddenly decided to bring him back, it wouldn't just surprise the audience, it would erase 5 seasons of carefully built storytelling. The themes of healing, resilience, and moving forward would collapse under the weight of a sudden twist. This doesn't mean the door is locked forever. In television, there's always space for creative touches. Could Ty reappear in a flashback we've never seen before? Yes. Could Amy dream of him in a quiet moment of reflection? Absolutely. Could the producers use old footage or even create new scenes that honor his presence without undoing the past? That's possible too. But a full return, Ty riding back onto the ranch as if nothing happened, is almost impossible. And yet, here's where the reality check becomes bittersweet. Even though Ty is gone, he has never truly left. His memory is stitched into every storyline. When Amy teaches Lindy about horses, Ty's lessons are alive in her words. When Jack shares wisdom about family, Ty's absence makes that wisdom deeper. When the family gathers at the ranch, you can feel Ty in the silence between their conversations. In this way, he's still there not in body, but in spirit. So, the reality is this. Fans may never get the miracle they're hoping for, but they already have something just as powerful, a legacy. Ty's journey wasn't cut short. It was completed, and his influence will continue shaping Heartland long after season 19. Whether Graham Wardle returns to the screen or not, it's not the answer most fans want, but it's the honest one. And sometimes the hardest truth is the one that gives us the most growth. Just as Amy had to move forward without Ty, fans are invited to do the same, carrying him in their hearts while embracing the new chapters still to come.